When they were done with all of those, they proceeded to strangle Cynthia to death. It was the dawn of the first social media casualty in Nigeria. Cynthia Osokogwu was said to have gone missing. Cynthia had traveled to Lagos on a business trip. On the 22nd of July 2012, Cynthia traveled to Lagos on a business trip, and when she arrived Lagos, she was said to have called her mom to inform her that she arrived Lagos safely. Prior to that trip, Cynthia had made a friend on Facebook with a young man by the name Okumo Nwabufo, a 33-year-old man at the time. Nwabufo's nephew by the name Olisailoka Ezike soon also became friends with Cynthia on Facebook, and Cynthia considered both of them friends. And Nwabufo, who got to know that Cynthia was an entrepreneur who owned a boutique, told Cynthia that he could introduce her to people in Lagos who would sell her goods for her boutique at cheaper prices. Of course, Cynthia was a businesswoman, so she considered what she felt or what she thought was a good deal for her business. I mean, who wouldn't want a better deal for better profits? So she considered it. Nwabufo was said to have gotten Cynthia tickets to fly to Lagos and also an accommodation at the Cosmila Hotel in Lakeview Estate at the Festa town in Lagos. Cynthia flew to Lagos on that fateful day. And like I said earlier, she informed her mom when she arrived at the airport that she landed safely. Nwabufo was said to have picked Cynthia from the Murtala Mohammed airport, and they both drove down to the Cosmila Hotel in Festac, where they lodged. Nwabufo and his nephew Olisailoka, who had expected that Cynthia was going to come with so much cash because they had told her they were introducing her to business people whom she could buy goods at cheaper prices. Their hope was dashed when they realized that Cynthia wasn't carrying so much cash as they had anticipated. Of course, they got angry. Before anything they did with Cynthia at the hotel, they had laced her Ribena drink with Rufinol. Nwabufo and his cousin were said to have gotten angry when they realized Cynthia didn't have so much money with her, and Cynthia didn't even have an ATM card for them to use in withdrawing her money. She was said not to have operated an ATM card. So they got angry, they beat her up, they raped her, they tied her both hands behind her back, they tied her legs, they stuffed in her mouth her hairnet and handkerchief, and then proceeded to seal her mouth with a tape. They then robbed Cynthia of every valuable she had with her, including cash, including her phones, her ID cards, and any other thing that could identify whom Cynthia was. When they were done with all of those, they proceeded to strangle Cynthia to death. Now, Cynthia's mother, Mrs. Joy Osokogwu, had been frantically calling her daughter's line for 5 days, but the numbers were switched off. On the 7th day, however, the calls were answered by the suspects, and they said to her Cynthia was sick and she couldn't speak with her, and she asked them, was she dead? And they said no, that she was just sick and couldn't speak with her. They proceeded to demand for a ransom. That call was traced, and it was traced to Festac. That was when the family of Cynthia made an official report in Lagos at Festac, precisely on the police station in Festac, of a missing person. The police there did not hesitate to get to work, and as on the 20th of August 2012, Nwabufo was said to have been arrested, and soon after, the other 3 suspects were also arrested by the police. The 4 of them were charged to court on the 5th of November 2012 for murder, conspiracy, stealing, and other charges. And on the 8th of February 2013, the murder trial began. during the trial, the prosecution called in 10 witnesses and tendered 17 exhibits. And amongst those who were said to have testified for the prosecution were the hotel receptionist, the hotel manager, the police who investigated the matter, and also the medical examiner, Professor John Obafua. It was during the testimony of the pathologist, medical examiner, that he informed the court that Cynthia Osokogu died of asphyxiation. And the first and second defendant, in person of Okumonwa Abufo and Olisailoka Ezike, were said to have made confessional statements to the police before being charged. But during the trial, they sought to withdraw their confessional statement, claiming that they made those statements under duress. And during the trial, Nwabufo, the first defendant, also claimed that Cynthia was his fiancée and that she was going to introduce him to her father. He also claimed that they had met in a mall in Lagos, as against the reports that they met on Facebook. Oh well, the trial continued. And judgment was set after over 4 years of this trial. Judgment was set for 23rd of March 2017. Remember, Cynthia was killed on the 22nd of July 2012. And on the 23rd of March 2017, it was time for Justice Olabisi Akilade to pronounce her judgment. And Justice Olabisi began. She said, the defendants, or the suspects rather, deserve their sentence as they were unremorseful. She said the suspects served the court a cocktail of lies as they sought to withdraw the confessional statement they had earlier made to the police under the claim that those statements were made under duress. The judge said, thank God for the video footage that the police provided of the suspects making their confessional statements. And that video clarified and cancelled any claim of them making those confessional statements under duress. Moreover, the judge said those confessional statements were consistent with the state of the body and also with the testimony of the medical examiner. The judge also said Nwabufo, who had claimed that Cynthia was his fiancée and was going to introduce him to her father, during cross-examination, he couldn't tell the court her birthday. So how was she your fiancée if he didn't know her birthday? He couldn't tell the court her hometown. He couldn't tell the court her mother's name. I mean, he couldn't tell the court anything about Cynthia. So he lied. It was during cross-examination that it was established that he lied, because he could not provide any relevant detail about Cynthia. Now, the other two suspects who were charged alongside the first and second defendant, in person of Osita Oji, the pharmacist, and also Nonso Ezike, who was found in possession of the deceased phone, were discharged and acquitted. The judge went further to state that the evidence that was presented by the state, she found them to be cogent, she found them complete, she found them to be unequivocal, she found them to be compellable and leading to an irresistible conclusion that the first and second defendant, Okumonwa Abufo and Olisailoka Ezike, and no other person committed the crime. She said there was no doubt that they indeed killed Cynthia Osokogu. The judge sentenced the first and second defendant to 20 years imprisonment, 14 years for conspiracy for murder, and 3 years for conspiracy to commit felony by stealing, and another 3 years for stealing, making a total of 20 years for each of them. The judge then went further to state that the duo were found guilty owing to the array of evidence presented by the prosecution, also including their own confessional statement. The judge said a conviction can gain conviction, is enough to gain conviction. And putting together their confessional statement, the testimony of witnesses and that of the medical examiner, she was left without a doubt that Okumonwa Bufo and Olisailoka Ezike both murdered Cynthia Osokogwu. The judge then pronounced, "I hereby pronounce the judgment of the court upon you that you be hung by the neck until you are dead." That was the judgment of the court upon the duo. May the Lord Almighty have mercy on their souls. So guys, this is where we wrap up the story of how Cynthia Osokogwu's murderers were brought to book by the long arms of the law. So guys, be a good citizen. Always be a good citizen wherever you are. Take care of your mental health, take care of your emotions, be kind to yourself, be kind to the people around you, and always be a good citizen. I remain Dorcas Ige Olukan, and I love you all. Please subscribe to our channel, like, share, and put on your notification. Thank you for watching.